Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on this fine, luxurious evening. It is evening. Well, it is in the UK. It's probably daytime where you're watching now. But whatever time it is, let's have a fun time because we're here to talk about a bit of Travis Walton, and I've got my two buddies. I've got GUFON Radio, who's just Rich. He may have gone to the toilet. And we've got Lee from Must See Audio.
How you doing?
I'm good, mate. What's happened to Rich? Did you say
he said something about you being a prick?
No, I'm so used to never mind. I was clicking something else and I couldn't get out of it.
Yeah, it's everyone.
Sorry about that. Very unprofessional. I apologize.
Do you know, Rich, that's happened to me so many times, and the missus walks downstairs and I just can't get out of what I've clicked on.
Yeah, and next thing you know is you've got like 15 OnlyFans windows open.
I've been thinking about getting an OnlyFans page myself. Did anybody see that moth? I need to play that back. Something just flew past. It's probably a ghostly.
It's a spirit orb, yo.
Yeah, it's the spirit of this man.
Who is that guy? What's his name?
This is Frank. I can literally like pull him up by his ears. I did show you earlier, Rich.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like the new mascot.
He's beautiful.
He's got a beautiful overhanging stomach that his belly split open already once. I rescued him from the kids.
Looks a bit strokey, if I'm honest.
Yeah, he is a bit of a stroker.
Yeah. No, a bit. He just looks a bit uneven.
He is because he leaked. I had to. So I don't know if you can see this. We are going to get on to Travis Walton in a moment, folks. But this is more important. My kids, my little boy, poked his toy helicopter rotor blade into his.
Did your son do it?
He's got like a nubbin there. He's like a nubbin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's super glue. You know.
I thought
it worked in Vietnam. It worked in Vietnam.
A scar. He had a scar. Yeah.
He's got a scar now. Yeah. He's
battle wound.
But his head's lost a lot of its
depth,
girth. Yeah. His head's not as girthy as it was. But yes.
Who does that look like in ufology? That's a tough one.
I reckon it probably looks a bit like Stephen Greer's foot.
Same shoulders, yeah. Same mouth.
I've programmed it now, so whenever I say Stephen Greer, it'll just pop up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Stephen Greer. Delay because I'm over here.
That's it. But yes, we are going to swiftly move on to Travis Walton, and he was on Joe Rogan the other day.
Yeah.
Was it like 3 days ago, 2 days ago?
3 days ago.
It was quite. I was quite surprised when I saw the name on it on a Rogan. To be honest.
Yeah. I was happy.
I was happy about it as well, but it made me think about like the little conversation we had last time we did one of these when we were talking about why is Rogan's sort of interest in UFOs just jumped out of the ceiling all of a sudden?
He's completely leading the way with it, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's a popular subject again.
Or did the powers that be make a mistake when if you think, right, if you've got the likes of if you go back to the like Podesta emails, the ones that concerned like UFOs and Tom DeLonge
back in 2015, 16.
Yeah, I can totally understand how an out of touch old man could have thought, yeah, let's get the Blink-182 guitarist in. He's cool with the kids, without realizing that he was a decade ago. And it makes me wonder whether that's because all of a sudden DeLonge's being dropped to the side. And it makes me wonder whether somebody's actually thought, yeah, well, hang on a second, maybe Rogan's the type of person we needed for this.
No, what it was is Tom DeLonge tried to make contact with somebody. And when they found out that this guy, this rock star, wants to talk about UFOs and wants to show them things and start a new, like a MUFON type of thing, group or whatever, I think that interested Podesta. And like, oh, you know what we can do with this guy? He's in with the kids, the crowd, the young ones. We get new minds, new people, new thoughts. Maybe we can change the way people look at ufology.
So you think that Joe Rogan is kind of like, without knowing it, he's the man that's kind of been picked to give us a slow disclosure, so to speak.
He does get the most watchers.
But is that because he's the biggest? You know, because he's got the biggest platform.
I don't know. What? I don't know. I guess so.
I mean, Travis isn't knocking on my door yet.
Travis will do anybody's show, though.
Will he? Travis, come on my show.
He will come on your show.
One of my friends would be so envious. You know, he's got a Travis Walton tattoo.
No way.
No, I lied. But
that was a good one.
That's a strange.
Because I was going to say I have one too.
If he'll come on the show, I'll get one. You know, and he'll have a beautiful mustache, everything. In fact, I think, mate, Travis, if you look at my face, I probably look like you did back in the day. You know, with
same color hair.
Same color hair, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not ginger on top. It's just this.
I see ginger in the light.
Yeah, I can see some ginger.
A little bit.
I can also see.
No, that's just the light. That's the light.
Of course it is. Yeah.
But never mind that, Lee. Why are you wearing a Christmas jumper?
Because it's snowing outside.
Oh,
I love it. Nothing wrong with feeling like Christmas at all at any time. Nothing wrong with that. It's cold out. I kind of like it.
It's a comfy jumper.
No, you need a comfy jumper.
And being a big man, what you should do is you should always have interesting patterns on your clothes, because sometimes it confuses people and they don't realize you're fat because they're too busy looking at the patterns on your jumper.
Distraction. Got it.
Yeah, it's the same way that zebras don't get eaten by lions.
Yeah, I mean, if I put a jumper on in this house, I will. No matter where I am, I'm always melting. You know, I'm a t-shirt and usually shorts man in the house. But when I'm interviewing, my bottom half needs to be warm, so it keeps me going. So, but yeah. Anyway, Travis Walton, and Joe Rogan. It was a good interview. It was a very good interview.
I hated it.
Did you really? Why?
I'll tell you.
Oh, I know why.
You know what? I hated it. I hated half of it. Because half of the time he was thinking and quiet and and the other half he spoke. So I didn't understand why he had to take so long to answer 80% of these questions. It was very odd.
I think he was nervous as fuck.
For 2 hours?
Yeah.
No, this guy ain't nervous. I met him. He's cool as calm, man. He gets it. He knows where he's at.
You did meet him. Did you? Was it you that fell asleep on him, or did he fall asleep?
I fell asleep next to him, and he had an aisle seat. I had an aisle seat, and it was my 5th time in a row seeing the Phoenix Lights anniversary movie. And I came in, you know, and I didn't sleep back then, and beard and a bandana. I looked like a biker, and I sat down and and then I woke up and Travis Walton's looking at me, and he goes,
Did you? How close was you to his shoulder, though? Were you,
No, he was in the next aisle.
Oh, right.
So it was like 5 feet.
So he
definitely saw me.
He wasn't impressed that you fell asleep.
It was almost like he had a smirk, like, man, I want to fall asleep too, kind of like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, he's actually a funny guy.
Do you think that there was I actually listened to, for the first time in full, the first ever interview with Travis Walton when he was a young, nervous man.
I checked it out too.
Yeah.
Because of you.
And when everybody says the story stayed the same, I don't know if it's that he's not mentioning certain parts in interviews, but there was one bit in the first ever story, and I should have got a recording of it, but people can go check it out. The first ever interview where Travis said that he was bleeding heavily on that craft. I've never heard him say that before.
That was on the first interview, not the Rogan
Yes.
one.
No, he didn't say that on the Rogan one. If he did, I didn't hear it. And I don't think I've heard it in other interviews either.
I never have.
But he said he was bleeding heavily. So unless I heard it wrong, but he definitely said the words bleeding heavily. I'm pretty sure he did. And,
He did.
he did, didn't he? He said bleeding.
Yeah,
bleeding,
of course
bleeding.
he did. Yeah.
And on any of the reports, I've never seen it said that he had blood on his clothing. So if he was bleeding heavily, what did they do? Did they put it through the wash? Did they give his his clothes? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to get out of his lips. Yeah, give him a wash.
Yes, they did a steam clean on it. That's how you get the blood out. No, I think he was internally bleeding or something like that, maybe. Because he got thrown 25, 30 feet in the air when he got hit by that whatever.
Yeah, but how do you know you were internally bleeding?
They talked to him, I guess, in his mind. He had to have known. I mean, that's why they kept him for so long, so he could regain his strength and they can bring him back.
Or maybe they kept him for so long because he'd made a mess of his clothes and he thought, you know what, before we're returning, we'd best clean his clothes.
Yeah, so he was a long way from a cleaner's too, so you never know. I don't know.
Do you find that, because everybody says the story is the same, no matter how many times you hear it, it's the same. But there's certain bits that they either get left out because he thinks, I've told this so many times, he skips over some bits. It's like when Joe was asking him some questions, and he was kind of like, I went through the door, and then Joe, well, what was the door like? It was just like a door, I've never heard him kind of explain the material of the craft properly. You know what I mean? Actually get into depth, other than when he was at this bit, when he was at that chair and the guy with the goldfish bowl over his head.
Right.
He said there were knobs and buttons on the chair. That's the only kind of thing that is really described. And obviously the fact that he could see straight out to space, and it was like there wasn't even a window. It was just like it was a room of space, basically.
Yeah. Don't you think it's funny how his account of the events kind of looked similar to 1960s television?
I was just going to say that.
It's weird because now we don't hear it that as much, even though he did say they wore tight-fitted clothing. And one of them could have been a cyborg or, it looked human. You would walk right by him in the street if you saw them coming at you. So his accounts are really weird, but never detailed. If you try to look at the lights, he said the light was, it was so bright it didn't hurt, but I couldn't see detail. Always something was off. It's almost like, why can't you give me details, man? It's a great story, but not the little things. Maybe it was just because he was in a panic. I don't know.
It's almost like when he did the film, when he did the film, but when they did the film Fire in the Sky, and they were hearing about the fact that he'd explained that they looked like this. First of all, there was the Greys, and then there was these two characters from
Nordic type of Swedish looking.
Yeah, they thought, what that is. That we don't want to put that in because it just sounds.
It's Bruce Jenner. It's so funny. It was.
But I can kind of see as a
them.
It was him, both of them. That was both Bruce Jenner. It's brilliant.
I can kind of see as a movie producer that you might think, I like this story, but I really don't want to put that bit in with the goldfish bowl.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm still of the opinion that if these things actually happen, that they're not a physical thing that happens to somebody. It's something that happens outside of space and time, or the space within space. Something like that. Some other wanky words I could put together to try and describe it. And like when he's trying to describe things, especially when Joe was asking him questions about it, and he didn't have definite answers. It's like when when you're trying to ask someone to give you definite answers about a dream.
Yeah.
That's true. Didn't think of that. Yeah.
I mean, he describes it almost as a dream, the little bits that he remembers. It's almost like somebody is describing a dream. I know it's not a dream because, there were 6 other men that witnessed it. But it is one of those things that I kind of always, if it was one man telling the story, I'd say, what a load of shite. If it was one man telling the story, but there is 6 other people that witnessed this.
Mm-hmm. But nobody experienced what he supposedly did. Everybody else experienced one thing. He experienced one thing. They shared seeing it, but that's what's so perplexing. I always wanted to know if it was all fake and it didn't happen, how would they plan that out and make him disappear for 5 days? Not out there. And he did come back with clothes on, by the way.
Yeah.
In the movie, they had him naked.
I mean, if you planned it, and I know nothing about the American wilderness. I know there's big things that want to eat you sometimes, but if you were going to plan it and you were these people that worked out there all the time, then surely you could have sorted some arrangement out to say, right, you stay here for 5 days. We'll get you provisions. We'll make sure you're nice and warm. You just stay here.
Well, you mean like they kind of like built a little tent for him and they go,
little camp house, little log cabin. I imagine they could knock one of those up. They seem the type.
But they were searching that forest for days, weren't they, looking for him?
I suppose so. That doesn't help my theory. If I mean, then again, saying my theory, I'm not saying it didn't happen. And if anything, I found him reasonably genuine.
Yeah. No, but this is it. We have to discuss this. We have to discuss both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're up in those mountains, cutting logs down and everything. They're familiar with the surroundings. And in Snowflake, there's nothing around in that area. What were those UFOs doing there? I mean, what he said he thinks they were doing was looking for this particular residue that comes from lightning strikes.
Yeah.
And it forms crystals on the ground. And they think that because that part of Arizona, Snowflake, in that whole area up there is one of the most unique places because it has a lot of lightning strikes for a mountainous region. Usually that would be in an open area, flat plains and whatnot.
The flat plains is where you get the most, and that is the second, isn't it?
In Florida. Yeah, Florida's flat, wetlands. Arizona's flat, dry desert. But nonetheless, he thinks they were maybe looking for these type of crystals as a power source. So maybe it fuels their... That's why we see them by lightning and thunder. Not thunder, you don't see thunder, but by thunderstorms. Weird.
I don't know if I agree. I agree. I mean, it's an interesting theory. It's got, but I mean, surely they've got this technology. I mean, we're already starting to control the weather. And I'm pretty sure an alien species that can travel thousands of light years would be able to control their own type of weather, or, go to another planet with loads of like thunderstorms, that would create this. Why Earth?
But there's an unusually high amount of lightning strikes in this area and other mountainous regions that don't make sense to people. So maybe they coincide with UFO reports is what I was trying to say, and it didn't come out that way. So anytime you have, that's an interesting thing I'm going to look into and see what I can find. Are there numerous UFO sightings, more numerous around thunderstorms than not? Because if they're collecting this crystallized thing that is made from lightning strikes, I think that'd be interesting. to see how that can be used in form of propulsion or whatever.
What was the name of that crystal?
I can't remember.
I
Yeah, I
can't
know.
remember either.
I'll have to listen to the show and find out again.
Well, I was actually listening to it again, but I don't think I got back up to that bit. But though I remember seeing when Joe brought, he was so surprised when he brought those lightning strikes that had hit the sand.
Yeah.
It looked amazing.
It looked like a tree stump coming out of the sand.
Yeah, it looked like an alien, some off an alien world, what you'd imagine on an alien set.
That's true. It did.
You know, like
Crazy.
You know, like on the LV-426, whatever it was called, the planet that they were on in Aliens.
I think the idea though that like the lightning crystals could be used for propulsion or something like that. It's barely a theory though, isn't it? You know, there's no. If he'd have had like a physicist or someone that had been doing some sort of research and thought, oh, well, maybe you could use this because they've got X properties, I'd take that. But that was just the words coming out of a guy. You know, I could turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, maybe they run on dog poo. Maybe we'll find them
White dog
poo.
poo.
Yeah, you know, but it's just
Don't get that anymore.
No. But maybe that's why we find them around bins now. We see them less in the streets and just around like dog waste bins. But yeah, to me, I find it odd that he made that jump between lightning crystals, and that's what they were looking for.
Well, the thing is, he's not a scientist or anything like that,
Yeah.
is he? It's kind of like it is his idea. But, I mean, it was the same bit when he was talking about the tree stumps. That you know, the what was it said? The growth had been quite substantial, but there's actual tree. What do they call tree scientists?
Ornithologists?
No, entomology. No, that's no. Well, that's okay. So,
Whatever they are.
Yeah.
It's a great job. They go in there and they check the lines, you know, in the trees, and apparently around the area they had grown, you know, quite.
Yeah.
Well,
That was
yes and
interesting.
no. They didn't grow all around. If you have this and the UFO was here, this side bubbled out more and
Right.
spread out while this side got smaller. So the tree grew in an oblong way. It's kind of wild. It grew. That's how he noticed what trees were there.
So it's not the side that he was saying was facing the ship.
Yeah. That's where it kind of spread out more, but the other side was basically normal away from the ship. So
'Cause
it kind of had a bubbling.
Yeah,
The rings bubbled. Yeah.
one of these guys developed skin cancer on his arm. They said as well. Travis said, whether it's Travis Theory again said that, you know, that was the side that was facing the craft.
No, that's not a theory. That's a fact.
No, I know he got skin cancer, but
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
the theory that the craft gave him the skin cancer.
I believe it.
You believe it could?
I do. Yeah, there's been a lot of cases where people have been. One guy had the circles in a pattern. Remember that guy, and he wound up getting cancer, and I think that was him. No, I'm thinking of the Texas Aurora case where they put the alien in the well and they still used the water, and the guy wound up with tumors in his hands and everything. But yeah, that other guy also had problems with his health, and yeah, it's wild. So there is some sort of expulsion of nuclear something or another coming out of these craft, which makes me think it might be back engineered type of craft, maybe.
The only thing I'd say to that is, to play devil's advocate, is a lot of people get cancer. It's like 50%, isn't it, of the human population, or like,
Probably more.
so something ridiculous like that. So, you know, it's if you've got a 50-50 chance of someone that said they've been abducted, they're gonna get cancer whether they've been abducted anyway. You know, it's maybe it's just an unlucky lottery that not only have you been fingered by an alien, but you've also got skin cancer.
Yeah, but like the I think it's Cash and the Lindrum case where they saw the upside down ice cream cone ship and it made their car really hot. And then, she got out and did this. She wound up, all three of them in the car got some sort of dose of radiation that made her hair fall out, and they had problems forever after that. So it's a definite biohazard. UFOs, they're not, they're friendly, but they're dangerous.
It makes you think more that whatever's inside them isn't organic, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's the thing. He did say that, that they was the first aliens where there were no expression on them whatsoever. And Joe was actually kind of hinting, do you believe that they could be kind of like, androids or robots of some sort? But there's quite a few people that have got that theory these days, but just because they have no expression, we can't, and the way they look, that they almost look synthetic, don't they? They look fake.
Yeah.
Well, he theorized because they use telepathy, and they feel that they've used telepathy for so long that they don't need to make facial expressions. It's in the mind.
That made a lot of sense, that.
It did, yeah.
Well, this is, from Wreaking Havoc, that's just generously donated $5. Thank you, my friend. He's, as we know, he's had the experience with the two outside his window, and he's just saying here that he doesn't believe that people are, abducted once. Travis kind of did say that there was, he was talking about something with his, was it his younger brother? And
yeah.
And I believe something happened to Travis when he was younger.
Yeah, he also saw a UFO. That's what it was, I think. He didn't get abducted.
Well, that he knows.
I find it interesting that he found out that his dad worked for, was it MIT his dad worked for on the lunar?
Yeah, on the lunar,
Apollo 11, right. Was it? Yeah. I find that crazy. To just, for something that happens to somebody like that, and then all these years later, he finds out his biological father was involved with that sort of thing. That's really, really, in fact, that's odder than being abducted.
It is. And I was like, has he actually put any sort of, it's a bit of a weird one to ask for proof for that, but I think that's kind of like very fitting, Well,
you think his father had something to do with taking him?
No, I think maybe who his father is might have something to do with him being taken.
Maybe that was it. Maybe the aliens gave MIT special stuff, but the aliens wanted kids, and he just turned around and went, "Take the ginger one."
Well, let's not forget he got out of the car, out of the truck, and walked right up to it. And it could have been anybody else that have done that. So it wasn't like he was chosen or anything, right?
No, but
he was the one that was that wanted to get.
Yeah. No, he was curious, and they were into UFOs too back then as well.
Was he interested, or was he sort of coerced into going there without him realizing it?
No, they were on their way home from work.
No. I mean, but walking towards the ship.
You mean with telepathy-wise? Yeah. Maybe, yeah.
Because that seems like a crazy thing to do. I mean, I am
interesting.
I'm interested as much as the next person, and I'm really, really brave, but I still don't think I'd walk towards a spaceship.
That's interesting. Yeah. You never know.
You know,
he didn't say it though. He didn't say he had anybody tell him anything, but they could erase it, I guess. That's an interesting point. Why he gets out of the car. I guess he was getting out and it was still rolling. He was so excited.
Yeah, maybe.
I would have done it too, though, I think.
See, I say this, Rich, as well, but in reality, would we?
I don't know.
We've got this thing right, huge. Well, he said it was. It was actually the size of Joe Rogan's interviewing room trailer, whatever it is. I don't know what interview is in. It's a weird looking thing, but it's great. But he said it was about the size of that, did he not? Or was that the room?
The Room. Yeah.
The Room.
I think if you had chance to think about it, I think you'd probably walk towards it because the way I would level it in my head was I have two options here. I have the option to find out stuff that I will never have the option to try and find out again, but I might die. And the second option would be I could just run away and forever think I should have walked up to that thing.
I'll let you touch it. I'll put it above your head.
I want one of them things.
I want one. Joe Rogan got one. He got his mate to order one.
I thought that was hilarious.
What's
when
that?
he said that.
Just get us one.
Yeah, no, if you could order one of those, please.
That model, the old sports model, a company's made it, and apparently you can still get. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it as well.
I'm going to get one too then.
I'm going to say I'm probably not because I bet it's loads of money.
Oh yeah, it'll be $500 easily.
I bet it's more. I bet it's like a couple of grand.
Oh my god, no way! They want, yeah. Unless it's a special model, they're only making 10 of them.
Yeah, sports model. That's got to be special.
I'm surprised Lazar hasn't brought his own out. Signed copies.
Oh, like Airfix kits. Lazar UFO Airfix kits.
I'd buy it.
Let's give him 10 years when he needs the money.
Well, this is the thing as well with this story that intrigues me, because people say that Travis has not made a lot of money. I bet he has made quite a bit of money off it, and I'm not mocking him for that or anything like that, because that's fine. But what about these fellas? These 6 people. If it was a bullshit story, we've all got one of them friends that's jealous of you, yeah? We've all got that friend that doesn't like something that you've done in your life, whether it's because they want to be on YouTube or, I don't know, they wish that they had a stretchy monkey. But
don't they?
Guys, be honest. How much do you want this next year right now?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Nope.
I do.
Because
love that.
I'm still not convinced that it wasn't you sticking your little toy in him and not your son.
Yeah.
But these 6 fellas I think has 2 of them passed away now. I think
Walton.
He's I don't know.
70, wait,
I
he was
like to get him on the show, so I don't want to be
19, 17. He's 75, I think. Hey, Google, how old is Travis Walton?
63 years old.
63?
He looks great.
He looks like crap.
Yeah,
I thought he looked 78. I'm like 75, I think.
He was.
He's a couple of facelifts and a few injections in as well, I reckon.
He's an alien.
He's got that shiny look about his
gonna-
face.
Travis, I'm not saying this about you. This is these 2 dickheads saying this.
Oh,
about
you
you.
meant Travis Walton.
I think he looks terrific.
Oh, I thought you meant Travis Barker. Are we not talking about Blink-182 anymore?
That's
No?
what I thought. Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying, these six fellas here, surely one of them would have come out and gone, you know what? I'm going to blow the lid off this. I'm sick of this.
True.
I'm sick of this shit. This guy's got all the fame for it.
Who's 3 up from the bottom? That's not Travis Walton, is it?
Travis is not there.
Oh, is he not?
No.
Well,
That's-
you went 3 up from the bottom is like a hard drive check away from prison. So I know why he wouldn't say anything.
He looks like a 3 up
looks
from
like
the bottom. He looks like a guy that I watched in one of my dad's videos
He looks like one of the Musketeers.
that I used to be interested in when mum and dad would go out.
Oh, those ones.
Yeah. But yeah, these guys, one of them would have got pissed off. One of them would have said something. And everybody stuck to the story.
That's fair. I find it odd that he's the only one that's actually come out to talk about it as well, properly.
Did you watch? Has anybody seen Travis, the actual documentary Travis on is it Amazon?
I didn't know there was one.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, it's decent. I watched it today again. Actually, it's a decent little doc. But he goes back to the site with I think a couple of these guys, and it's quite emotional when the guys are like speaking about it, and you can, you can tell somebody's lying in the facial expressions. I don't get that from any of them. It seems like they're all telling a true story.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a misnomer, that sort of thing, isn't it? Because you turn around and say, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, he looked so honest." Yeah, but like you can tell when bad liars are lying. That's why good liars are good at lying, because you can't tell.
Yeah, but 7 good liars.
And not for the whole time. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they all passed lie detector tests. One was inconclusive, but other than that, that's almost a perfect score. And they were tested multiple times.
Apart from the one on the show you showed me, Rich. What, that game show?
The game show, yeah. I can't believe he failed the biggest question. Were you abducted? But everything else was right. It was so stupid.
But you know what? They could have done that on purpose.
Yeah, I think he'd said that too.
The producer make him out to be lying. We'll get so many more views.
They had to, because the government doesn't want the truth to be 100% known. See what happened there?
I did. And it's funny that Travis kind of kept saying stuff like, people say the government knows this, that, and the other, but he was almost saying that they don't. They're they're as clueless as we are. I don't believe that.
I want to know what Bob Lazar told Rogan that he couldn't say on the show.
Yeah.
Because given how ropey the Lazar interview was, and how much Rogan seems to believe it, obviously suggests that he was privy to more of a conversation than just that interview.
Yeah, and this is what Bob said. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "See you later, bitch." No, it's interesting. That's a good thought. I wonder what it is. I keep trying to think, like, what would he say? It really did happen. I mean, that's the only thing he would say, right? Or
it was something to do with evidence, wasn't it? It was something to do with evidence with where he worked, I think.
Hey, Lee, your audio, and I thought it was me. I had to turn my volume up. It's very low.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and people are starting to ask if you could turn it up. I didn't know I could turn. I thought it was just but when Alien Addict spoke, I had to turn my volume down.
Yeah, how's that?
Oh, yeah, wow.
That's perfect.
It's perfect.
Just have to move it that little bit. It's the jumper cushion, isn't it?
Oh, not again.
I like that word, jumper, and trainers. I love trainers.
Who's
Well,
shoes?
trainers?
Oh, you call them sweaters. Is it sweaters?
Yeah, sweaters.
Because they're really warm, innit?
See, I don't know why anybody call a jumper a sweater, because it's not sweaty.
It doesn't jump
No,
either.
it's creating sweat. It's keeping you warm. That's why we say it's sweater weather.
It doesn't create sweat in England.
Yeah, different cotton, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, just slightly off the Travis Walton situation here. I always wonder when I'm seeing Americans, yeah. When I see people in America, they're walking around in the sun and they've got a fucking coat on. I'm like, get that coat off, you silly bastard! If we've got like a little bell end of sunshine, I'm naked. Well, not fully naked, but I'm t-shirt out.
Just imagine. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's not it's not particularly on topic, but when I was in Florida, I bought a double-breasted Tommy Hilfiger coat, like really nice coat. It is big collar that you can flip up and stuff, and it cost me $60. And it cost me $60 because I think if you put it on in Florida, you would have spontaneously combusted.
I've never understood it, but I suppose it's kind of like just what you get used to. You get used to your own heat, your own temperature. But yeah, back to the ginger mustachio man.
Yeah,
Mr. Walton.
There's something strange there. Something strange has obviously happened. I'd be more comfortable with saying that he was either making something up than if it wasn't for all the other people. But one thing I was going to bring up was him saying, like, you don't have 7 people have the same hallucination. That's fine. There's 7 people. I've never been in that situation, but I have been in the situation with my friend who is my housemate, and we'd both been out and we both came home a little bit worse for wear, and he had something, because I'm not sure how YouTube takes this sort of stuff, but he had something, and we decided to share it and break half of it off and have half of this thing off together. So that's fine. Hilarity ensues. Then the next thing is I sort of wake up a little bit and come round, and we're both sat there with Xbox controllers in front of the TV, which is off. And as far as we're concerned, we're playing Halo, and we had a little group hallucination between the two of us. So I don't think it takes a lot for one person to bring other people into their hallucination. If
how mad is that though, Lee? That if what you're saying there,
yeah,
that narcotics can actually make people have the same experience, like we're all like the mind kind of tunes into the
frequency.
somebody else's frequency. Yeah.
Or if someone turns around to you and says that shadow looks like a monster, and then you go, oh, that shadow does look like a monster.
Yeah, that's happened.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm fully on board with the idea of like a universal shared consciousness. But on the other hand, without that, I still think it's possible for you to drag someone into your trip, so to speak.
Yeah, maybe in a closed environment, but in the middle of, I don't know, depending on what the UFO was able to do or the people inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is an interesting case. It's they thought he was dead, and these guys think they're going to go to jail, to prison. And they there was a fight that happened earlier that day because one of the guys went over to his girlfriend's house and was saying, why don't you just leave Travis? And then Travis walked up on him underneath the girlfriend's window, and they got in a fist fight before work that day. So that part in the movie where the guy was cutting a tree and it got real close to Travis really happened. I thought that was funny. So they were bickering all day. So that's why they thought this guy killed him, and everybody's covering it up. That's just rare. Yeah, they knew right away it was unique.
Okay, but fellas, let's look at it on this side. Sorry, let's look at it on this let's look at it as in he faked it. Let's say they faked it.
Okay.
How did they fake that? Seven of them. Where did he go?
I mean, the logical conclusion to that would be that they drove him somewhere else. It wasn't there. They came back. They told people that they were somewhere they weren't. So when there was searches going on, they wouldn't find him. They left him. He was hauled up in a motel somewhere. They went back to town. They gave the story about the fight, which instantly implicated them in a murder because that's what you would become like suspects. So then when he walks back and he turns up all alive, it adds extra intrigue because like why would they possibly be lying? They were going to go to prison.
Rich, if I don't know what the laws are over there in terms of this, but if one of these guys did come out now and said that it was all a hoax, would they get in any sort of trouble?
Nope. Contracts were signed and the story's put out there, and they'll turn it around and say he's lying. That'll probably happen. But nope, nothing anybody can do.
So if somebody did turn around and say that this is a hoax, we did it, this is how we did it, and they, even if they presented evidence, they couldn't get locked up or anything for like.
I don't think so. No. How can they? These contracts were signed unless there was a stipulation saying if you ever come forward in any time in the next 50 years and say this was a fake, you owe us this. That's the only way that could happen. So, but just saying it without it being written on a contract, nothing can happen.
What in what situation would you have that contract?
If you were making a movie or writing a book or making a will that had to do with the sighting, I don't know, and any legal document that has to do with that story. Yeah.
And Travis said they were looking at doing another movie.
Yeah, he wants to do a remake on it.
See, that's the thing. I wouldn't imagine. I'm sure, like Travis Walton and the rest of them got money out of the using of that story, but
not much.
Was Fire in the Sky that big a film? It's
made 140 million.
That's a good amount, but even so, but it's 140 million. But I bet it would have cost at least 50 million to make 60 million. Then there's everything else that goes on in making a film. So it always fascinates me how much films cost, and then the amount of films that you see where they actually just scrape through making like 5 million or something like that. It's why films like Blair Witch and Child's Play are remembered so highly, is because of the little cost that went to making them and the massive returns.
But back in, I think it was 97 that movie came out. I don't remember. Same year as Independence Day, I think. It was a good year for movies. I think back then it would probably take 30, maybe 40 million. It's easy to look up. Anybody can find it. But yeah, that's when we started getting into really good graphics and CGI and in the movies. Started getting really good back then. I thought they did well on that movie.
Yeah, the little old Ben aliens. They did
he's a little angry.
Yeah, I liked the fact that they had the depicted the actual grey bit was it was a suit.
Yeah, I found that cool. It was like
go on. What are you saying? Sorry.
No, just that's it.
The back to the what's his guy? The goldfish guy. I mean, they didn't put any of these humanoid figures in the film, but when it's interesting when you hear about Goldfish Head here, but when he goes and sees the woman, and I think there's another guy, they don't have a helmet on, and I'm wondering why the first one would have a helmet on, but I mean, it's a funny thing to make up. Surely Travis would have made up the fact that they all had goldfish bowl heads, but he said that I think there were these two that didn't have goldfish bowl heads, and I'm sure she was absolutely beautiful. She looks like she could have been a stunner. I don't want her to stay on that ship.
She's hot for the time, though, isn't she?
Yeah.
But if we go back to the, it was like that era of sci-fi. She's that era of hot as well.
James Bond hot.
She Logan's Run type of hot, kind of Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah.
Well, it is weird because this person, because he was fighting with the other two, or I thought there was maybe three, but whatever it was, this other guy walks in and was very athletic, he had an athletic build and muscular, and why would he wear this fishbowl helmet? I don't get it. It's when he said that, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Right,
you know what it sounds like? It sounds like something your man, this guy in the Swiss Alps, what's his name?
Adamski, Georgia.
No, is it? Yes, it sounds like something from Billy Meyer, and that fires all sorts of alarm bells off.
But again, no detail. Everything he says has no intimate buttons. You know what I mean? Nothing, no little monitors, no sounds. It was just very bland, but he described the beings in more detail than anything.
Back to the first interview that somebody did with Travis, he did say that the figure that approached him with the helmet had no expressions on his face, but he did say to Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan was asking, was there any kind of like expression on his face. Maybe a little bit of a smile. So he kind of that changed a little bit. I mean, whether it's Joe was kind of like getting out of him because he's good at doing that.
Well, he wouldn't answer. He says,
No.
right? Did he say, did he touch you? What did his, and then he's like, well, he grabbed onto me, and but what did he feel like? Is, he kind of looked like we do, but I mean, he's like, just answer the question. And he did that the whole interview.
But memory is such an odd thing as well. I can't remember. I can't remember what the proper. But I can't remember what the proper quote was. But it's something along the lines of that you only ever actually remember something once. Every other time you recount it, you're remembering the last time you remembered it and recounting that memory.
Yeah, it's like the game telephone. Yeah, with yourself. I get it. It's like taking a copy of a copy of a copy. It degrades over time with each copy. It's the same thing with memory. That's life. That's what people say.
I mean, I can't remember what I had for breakfast. I actually can't.
Probably did.
Did you have gin again?
No, it's just a little wee whiskey.
I felt Travis was I felt he was trying to remember what he had to say, and he took his time and didn't care. I don't know. I've never heard him so weak, so fake sounding ever.
Yeah, what was it you said to me, Rich, when I asked you about the interview? Or did you think of it? And you said, if anybody knew that is new to the story of Travis Walton,
they would think this guy's lying out his butt.
Do you think that was because Rogan put him under more scrutiny than anyone else has?
He didn't.
No, but he put him in uncomfortable situations. Like you could see there was certain ways Rogan was leading questions, like the door, and bringing him back to things that are tactics to not nefarious tactics, but just ways to like check someone on their bullshit as they on the fly to bring people back into it too.
It doesn't matter because when somebody tells a story, and I know I've been doing this for a long time, they tell that story over and over for 40 years now, whatever it is, or 30 years he's been telling it. No, 50. No, 40. Anyway, he's got it down, man. You can't get anything by good old Travis. You can't trick him, mess him up, or he'll knock you down. And I didn't get that feeling this time.
See,
it was weird.
I think I don't know, because obviously I haven't watched every interview with Travis Walton, but one of the things I do get tired of watching interviews around this subject is it's always somebody that's on the UFO team doing the interview.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Yeah. So whereas if Travis Walton had come in and been completely disingenuous, he knows, but he knows that 2 podcasts down the road, Joe Rogan is just going to casually turn around to him and say, "Oh, he's had that Walton guy on. He was full of shit."
He said that about Tom DeLonge.
Yeah, he did. He
was.
Yeah, but that's that, and I think if he didn't believe people like Bob Lazar and David Freiber and stuff like that, I think would have already heard that he didn't believe them, because it's not making him any more views or any more money going along with their story. And he's a comedian at the end of the day, so taking the piss out of things is kind of his job. Well,
and I think you're right, because why Joe Rogan will never have him on again. He's asked him everything. He'll never have him on. There's no reason to. Mm-hmm. Nothing new will come out of those. Everything he had to say, he said it. So Joe Rogan could initially rip him apart if he thought he was lying, and he's not. That's the whole thing. He's not lying. Travis Walton did get abducted.
Yeah, that I was just about to say to Osvaldo Franco here. For anybody who's watching this, none of us are saying that Travis Walton's lying. We just want to discuss, the different interviews that Travis Walton's been in, the different statements. We want to just go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Well, it's probably not a fine-tooth comb. It's probably just a
buck tooth.
Yeah, yeah.
One of those little soft baby brushes you get for combing newborn baby's hair.
I mean, it makes it. I think no matter how many times you discuss this case, if you've got different guests on discussing this case, you're going to get different theories from different people, which is what I find so interesting about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see. I don't know how many of them. I think 2 of them have passed away. I'm not quite sure on that, but I would like to see like an interview with all of them. Together, whoever's left.
Yeah. Didn't they do an interview on TV a long time ago? They did, though. Yeah. I think they were all on, I don't know. Can't remember the name of the show, but it wouldn't be nice to get them all together.
When I was watching that podcast, though, all I could think to myself was, the names have escaped me again tonight. Who is your man? He's died. Was it last year or the year before? He was the nuclear physicist.
Stanton Friedman.
Wish he was still alive. He'd have been bang on Rogan by now. He'd have been a really good interview.
He'd have been a great guest. He would have done. He'd been a really good guest. But he believed Travis Walton.
Yeah, and he doesn't believe Bob Lazar.
Well, he hasn't said that he doesn't believe him. He just doesn't.
He did. He did.
It's the credentials that he's like, I'll believe you when you show me the credentials. Give me the proof. There is no proof.
But he was fully invested in the MJ12 documents, wasn't he?
Who
was it?
I think so.
Roswell was Stanton Friedman.
Yeah, no, but the MJ12, or was he the one that said they were fake? I can't remember. I think it was Stanton Friedman that came out with the MJ12 documents.
I don't know the answers to that, mate. I'll be honest with you. But
some in the chat
will. Apologist. So, who would you believe more though? If you put Bob in a corner or Travis, and you had to walk to one of them.
What was that?
So you've got Bob Lazar in one corner, and you've got Travis Walton in the other corner. And you have to walk to one of them who you believe. Let's say you're on a game show, I don't know. You're going to win some money.
Just quickly, Celine 002 doesn't understand what we're doing. Sorry.
No, neither do we. It's fine.
I don't know what you're wanting an answer about. Didn't make sense to me.
I want to know who you believe more. Who you believe more. And you might believe them both, but who do you believe more between Travis or Bob Lazar?
Travis Lazar.
Interesting. There are 2 separate answers there.
Yeah,
I don't not believe Bob Lazar.
Thank you, Mr. DB Cooper.
Yeah, I don't not believe Travis.
Are you believing more than?
Yeah, I believe Bob Lazar. I find Bob Lazar more genuine. I find I know there's hiccups in his character and there's hiccups over time.
Nobody's corroborating his case. It's him, and no, he never took a lie detector test. Guy's a fraud.
But I feel if
that's it.
He had the opportunity to make more of his lie if he wanted to.
No, he couldn't. Not after 30 years, start making up stuff. Then it would have ripped him apart.
No, but even the story he had, I think he could have done more with. He could have done the conferences. He could have done more of that. He could have done the talks.
The more you talk, the more the lie can get out. Ask Corey.
Maybe.
No, I'm serious. You don't put yourself out. I think Bob Lazar was a shill for the government.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was like a Manchurian candidate, but I think they told him, go work here, we're going, you know, they called upon him to go check, like an experiment to see how he might react if he saw props of alien stuff and things of that nature. I don't know. It's really weird. He walks into a room, they give him a book with, it says, you know, aliens. It's got aliens and UFOs in it, he said. And he's like, well, this is weird. Maybe they're testing me, you know. And it's just weird, man. Why? What did I do?
It's just that impression, mate. It's pretty good. Do it again.
I'm in the sports model. That's why.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Element 115 Israel, and it's in my garage. I can't. I have to do something with my voice, and I can't. I wasn't ready. That's ridiculous.
That was good. that hit. You got to listen to that back, Rich. It hit the nail on the spot.
I don't think so. I know when I hit nail.
So you believe Travis Walton more than you believe Bob Lazar, and you're totally like more Lazar's side. Why is that, Lee? What did Lazar do different that Travis didn't to hit the spot?
See, I get what you mean about him not having the credentials not checking out, but to me that checks the story out more, because the bits that are there, like the photograph of him in the lab, the fact that he took Stanton Friedman, your man, the journalist, round, and he could show him around the place and people knew him and stuff like that. But the idea that his education is all of a sudden wiped, that says more to me that he went to work on a secret project. And it's one of those things where, right, you come here, but we make you disappear. He was Men in Blacked, essentially. I'm surprised he has still got fingerprints.
So you're going to tell me the Men in Black, who I think it might have been Lou Elizondo back then. I'm just joking. So the Men in Black are going to, when he goes to work out, they're going to take his Uzi, put it on the seat of his car with his license, and leave the door open, you know, like saying, ha, we could have killed you, but we didn't. We know you're here. That's a really made up story if I ever heard.
That's a weird story. That's a weird thing to say.
Well, if that's weird, then everything else has got to be weird. And the dominoes start going down.
But the other thing is, I find when he talks about it, I find him genuine.
Of course, he's a sociopath. The guy never broke a smile in his life. He doesn't have. I mean, the guy never moves. He's a robot. He's a Manchurian candidate.
He can't be that much of a sociopath. He ran a brothel. There must be something human.
You have to be a sociopath to run a brothel, because you got to be blind to everything. You only got to care about money, pussy, money. You know, that's it. Bob Lazar, I'm telling you that story is so flawed. That's why I love.
Maybe I just want it to be. Maybe I just want it to be real. What about you, Ollie? How do you feel?
Do you know? I used to
be wrong. I'm just saying that.
It's all right. I got called fat before, and the comments were saying someone was lying. Nobody's having a go at you.
No,
no, they were talking about you, Lee. They're talking about this guy.
Absolutely weren't.
He's not wearing glasses, though.
You know, he's just been through an operation as well. So
he's being mean.
Not Lee, but shit, what's happened to his face? He has had a stroke. It's just a second.
Is he being jabbed?
It looks like.
Is he immune now?
It looks like a steroided out ET.
Looks like a ball sack now.
Oh, it does. Cyst.
Oh shit. I don't know what. A little boy's gonna kill me. I say it's my prop. Oh, there we go.
My listeners are gonna think there's something weird going on there.
Yeah, can you describe it to your listeners?
I'd rather not. It
looks like
you hold a massive ball sack, and then you give a slapping, and now it looks like a monster.
So with Bob Lazar, the Bob Lazar case, I'll be honest with you. I used to think it was just a really cool story that was really intriguing, and then I was like, I really believe this guy. And then the documentary came out, and I'm like, there were just certain bits of that documentary that Corbell did, and I know you're not a particular fan of Corbell's, Rich. I mean, I thought he did it. I think it was a decent for what he could do. You know, he got out of Bob what he could. But he's like a closed book, and it's almost like you say, Rich, that the guy, maybe even Corbell, believes his story completely. You know,
I think Bob Lazar had a autism test and passed with flying colours.
I would as well.
I think that's the thing with him. I think he is aspy as fuck.
Well, most of us are, to be fair.
Apparently, most of us are on the spectrum. I'm not.
I'm
perfect.
I definitely am.
What does that mean? What I'm not sure I follow them. What does that mean? What do you like? What's an example of that? What you just said
Of Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah.
Well, the lack of human empathy is one of them. People being extremely focused on certain tasks and like having the blinkers on for other things.
Sociopath.
Well, yeah, kind of a sociopath, but not
Kind of.
Um,
So Asperger's just go full on to one thing at a time, but all the way.
yeah, but they also find it very difficult to lie.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's
that's-
not Bob.
Yeah.
You're a good sport, my friend.
But yeah, I don't know. I see. I did not believe Travis Walton. But see, I thought he came across as nervous, and like I say, I think he came across as nervous because he knew if he didn't put his story across in a good way, arguably the most powerful man in media, definitely the most powerful man in independent media, could have destroyed him afterwards. Not just that, and it's okay being used to, like, I mean, in a smaller way, we're used to public speaking like this. You know, we're used to doing our various shows. We're used to doing something like this, where we know, like, at best, a couple of thousand people are going to listen to it at the time. I think there's a vast difference between knowing a few thousand people are going to listen to it than over 1 million.
The thing is there, though, Lee, as well. I mean, you'll know this from interviewing some crazy people yourself, and you as well.
Ooh,
Rich.
yeah.
You know,
You mean 5G guy?
yeah. So Joe Rogan as I mean, I've got a small channel, but you know, there has been people on in the past that I thought, is this guy full of shit? You know, I'm just going to let him speak. You know, it's entertainment. People should know me by now to know what I believe, and it's kind of like, is it up to me to say, you know what, you're full of shit, mate? Rich, I know you would probably just call them out and say you're full of shit. So no, that's in your nature. But I think at the same time with Joe Rogan, if he did that, he'd scare people off, whether he believes it or not.
What people would it scare off?
The guest.
No.
It doesn't matter.
You don't think it would scare the guest off? So say, for example, Bob Lazar did go on and he goes, I've got a migraine, and Joe Rogan says, I'll come off it. You're full of shit.
I don't think Rogan would do that. I don't think the only person I can remember, he's ripped. Oh, who's that horrible YouTuber that he's like a really no, not him. He's like a really far left, almost comedian. Adam ruins everything.
I don't know.
Adam knows everything.
Is Adam knows everything?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
Rogan ripped him apart. Like,
really?
Ripped his body open and took his organs out separately on his show. It was
my God.
fucking beautiful.
When was this?
About 2-3 years ago, something like that. Like, he really, like, to the point where your Adam guy's like viewing figures dropped huge on the show he was doing, because it's like one of those like networks like Rooster Teeth or something, isn't it? I know it's not Rooster Teeth, but something like that. He does this
It's Rooster
sort of-
Teeth like a gaming thing.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's like something like that, like an entity which has a big space on YouTube. So he ripped him apart, and then there was a guest he had on which had written an article in a newspaper which I can't remember. Gonna say the Times, might be right. That called Rogan an alt-right conspiracy theorist, and referred to him as like a proponent for the 9/11
Oh my God.
like conspiracy. And you've never seen Rogan, so like as soon as like the wash screen comes off, he's already sat there. He's like, right, let's go, fucko. And he said and he just levels him, fucking levels him. It was great. Oh yeah, it's great.
Wait, he hits him or
No. Just arguments. Like he said, explain to me how I'm alt-right. He said, if anything, I'm a liberal. Then he goes on about how he stands politically. Rogan.
no? But who was the guy?
I forgot the guy's name. Forgot his name. But it was a good podcast. It was one of the
Well, you need
first
to
ones I
find it,
listened to.
Billy. I need to watch this one.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I have to be in agreement with Rich. If there was one corner that I'd walk to, Bob Lazar, Travis Walton, it would be probably Travis Walton for me because of the 6 witnesses.
Yes, that's right. That's why.
I mean,
that's
I've got a group of friends that I'm so close to, but I'm telling you now, if we made a lie up like this, one of them would blow the lie. They would. One of them would.
their wives if they get married. Do you know how much money you can make if you just told this story? You could make millions. We could be rich.
I don't think I could think. I don't think I could think of 3 people that I know. I've got, and like I said, I've got some really close friends that I'm, and to be perfectly honest, only because my friends are probably more like morally virtuous than I am. It's me that'd be quite happy to sell a lie, but to find like another 6 knobheads like me, that'd be unbelievably hard.
This isn't me saying that I don't believe Bob Lazar, though. This is just me picking a side, that if I had to go to one, it would probably be more Travis. I find them both compelling cases. I really do. It's just, it's like if Stanton was alive today, there was a lot of, did you see the debate with him and Corbell on stage, Stanton, before he died? That was fucking great. Oh, you need to watch that. That was really good. It was almost a full blown argument.
Stanton Friedman would destroy what's his name, the filmmaker, Corbell. Because I quite like Corbell because
I do. I don't mind him at all.
No, I think he's arrogant. I think he's got questionable people skills. When you see him talk, and I think he wants the story to be about him, regardless of how big the story is.
And you still like the guy?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why?
See, I'm a
filmmaker.
An
asshole.
I enjoyed the Lazar film. I enjoyed it.
It's Lazar, but 26 minutes of looking at a guy with clam diggers on it, I just don't need to see somebody's feet.
You see, Lee, I said this to you about Corbell. He reminds me of like one of my best mates that I went to Ibiza with.
Yeah,
he's not like the filmmaker. He's like one of the guys that's on a stag do that's the dickhead.
Yeah,
and he's one of my best mates. So
from down your neck of the woods, he'd be a wide boy, wouldn't he?
He would. Yeah. He would be off his absolute pickle. He'd be doing all. He'd be the one that be go, come here, in this room
to the toilet. Yeah, yeah.
That'd be him. That's what he's like. But obviously, he's probably
every night ends in a curry.
Yeah. But yeah, the guy's a dickhead. But I've got mates that are dickheads, and I like them. But they're still dickheads.
I do have a thing though, because regardless of all the stories and what people are doing, why they're doing it, and who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth, the Rogan thing being, I think the more interesting thing than this, than all the ufology, is Rogan and how he's so in now. He's so into it. I mean, I'm amazed the guests he's had on. It's when you're like, there's the list for people that must want to come on his podcast must be unreal.
Well, I said he needs to get ages ago. I said he was going to get Bob Lazar on it, and it actually happened.
Yeah.
And I said he'd get Lou Elizondo on, but it hasn't happened. But I still think it will happen.
I know, but
No, he hasn't. I predicted it.
Wrong.
I did a predict. He's not been on.
Well, no, he hasn't been on.
Oh, are we talking about Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan hasn't had Lou Elizondo yet?
No.
No, I did a prediction video, Rich, to say he would, but he hasn't. He's had Elon on though.
I did not know that. I could have sworn he was.
My little Mars guy.
I mean, I suppose the first one, or not first one in sort of modern Rogan times, when it was like the proper, when the JRE was the juggernaut it is now, would have been Dan Aykroyd. Like the Dan Aykroyd interview he had about UFOs, that was so good.
He was drinking Dan's vodka, wasn't he?
Yeah.
A little with the orange.
But the thing is, right? I think there's something going on. I don't believe, as much as I'm a Rogan super fan, I don't believe you get to where he is without someone having a word with you. You don't get to that level of power without someone saying something, especially when you're having the sort of guests he's having on. Can you just for a split second, because the one thing Rogan still managed to do well is to make it look like some guy comes around his studio and they record a podcast. Can you imagine the security that has to be involved to have someone like Elon Musk turn up to your studio to record a podcast? Or the loops that have to be done to have a secure line so you can have Edward Snowden on from Russia into your studio, not just once, but twice. That's crazy. So I think the UFO stuff is in much in the same way as what I think that sneaked. You need to tell people about what's going on with UFOs in the thing that shall not be named bill. I think we're being prepped for something, and that makes me think that if what you were saying before about Lazar being full of shit, I kind of think that if he's part of this program, then they're either all telling the truth. Or they're all full of shit.
All in it.
Yeah.
Or Bob did work at a place that could have been a mock-up of Area 51.
Oh, very, very possibly. But that's the thing. I mean, maybe he's been fed information that he has to put out. Like, could you know this guy? Because I've said this to Ollie before. There was a guy that had he was doing like radio intercepting, like radio stuff, and he started picking up communications from an army base that was close by. That army base found out that he was listening into them, and then instead of sort of just stopping him doing it, they started feeding him information about UFOs just to see what would happen to him psychologically.
Who is this?
I forgot his name. I fucking can't remember.
That's incredible. I never heard that.
It's an amazing story. It's a really big thing as well. I'll have to do a proper search for it and look. But yeah, I think the guy he lost his house. I think he might have even killed himself in the end or something like that.
What country? What country was he from?
It was America.
Oh, he's dead then.
So he's America.
Is it? Yeah, I guess it is.
The thing is, who's I want? I want to see on. Has he already been on? Nick Pope.
On where?
on Joe Rogan?
I'm pretty
Don't.
sure he has. I'll check right now.
If he has, it must be a long time ago. Not within the last few years. Not within the new,
I think he was.
the Rogan being interested in UFOs.
We're
Has
looking up
Tucker been on? Tucker would make a good guest.
Tucker,
Carlson.
yeah, Tucker would be a good guest.
So
Yeah,
the Bob Lazar case.
2 years ago.
I
2
was
years ago. Oh wow.
I was actually who he was on 2 years ago.
Yeah, Nick Pope was. Yeah.
Why have I not seen that?
Mm.
Maybe I have. But yeah, the case it's a great case, but there was something that you said, Lee, and it's something that I've said for a long time, and I've been wanting to do a video about this. I think I've told you that I've been wanting to do a video about this. Is the UFO over the years has changed, as in the way it looks, the shape of it, and it's kind of gone with the times. You know, if you look back to the sports model, and I think before the sports model, that was a little bit more flatter, and the dome was a bit more domey, yeah, if that's a technical word. But then you look at these little alien guys that Travis was talking about in the little suits that they were wearing. I don't know how accurate this picture is to what he described. I think he said they wore black. I could be wrong. He definitely said that the goldfish man wore blue. But if you look at the style that he kind of depicted to the artist, and I think this is what the artist drew, you know, it is very fitting of the time.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, the
that-
issue there is, have they got a sci-fi artist to do the drawings? Do you know what I mean? It's going to be
Yeah, I'm wondering, is it because
artistic license?
That's kind of like all the artists could draw at the time, because that's how modern they could make it look, that made it look like that.
Well, let's also point out the fact that whoever's drawn that is also a shit artist.
Yeah, it's shit in it.
Let's be honest. Like that's bad drawing. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible artist. I'd swap any attribute I have to be able to draw. But, and I'm not saying I could do that. I certainly couldn't do that. But I also know that's bad. See that? I mean, that's that. It look. You know when you see, you know that thing, Second Life.
Look at that chin.
You know that thing, like people that are really lonely go on, Second Life.
Is that internet thing?
Yeah, it's been around for years and years and years. And you find people and they go and pay loads of money and they go and like have sex with like random people with avatars. That looks that looks like people's sexy avatars.
It's got that look though, hasn't it? It's got that 70s vibe to it.
It does. The Bruce Jenner chin, because he was popular in the 70s, the hair even is. See, that's why I don't really. I think either the aliens made them look that way to be of the time, so they fit in. So
That
maybe
makes sense.
maybe they walk around us, and when they're on their ship, they go into their uniform or whatever.
Is that her hand or his hand? Because it's fucking huge if it's hers.
I can't tell.
And what's in the hand? Because I
It
can't.
looks like four
I can't-
fingers.
No, there's something in the palm of the hand, and I can't remember Travis describing that. But that's obviously in that picture.
I think it's a crystal, like I don't know.
A crystal over a rubber glove. Anyway, this is the thing.
It's obviously a lightning crystal, isn't it? She's just filling the car up.
Maybe that's what. Maybe she got that from the lightning strike. That's one of them little crystal things.
Really tiny. I mean, they're much smaller, so I don't know.
Oh, she enlarged it. Like, she's got a machine to make it bigger, Rich.
Just so everyone knows, Nordic Lightning Crystals is my new prog rock band.
It's a good name, actually.
The new band's called Lightning Crystals.
No, it's absolutely not.
Oh. Oh, now I feel rather silly. Oh, Mr. DB Cooper, thank you very much. What's the question?
I was going to pull your attention to this before.
I was in a separate part. That's the only. I need another monitor. Well, I have another monitor, but it's not linked to this PC. I've got the Mac next to it, and so I need.
Don't worry about the super chats. I'm keeping an eye out for them. I was gonna pull that up.
What's that say? What looked like a slow discussion is more of a
Disclosure.
It seems what looked like slow disclosure is more controlled disclosure, aka we're not telling you nothing.
Can't have a double negative like that. That's grammatically incorrect. We're not telling you anything. That's funny though. It's true. They make believe they're always given, just like the 3 videos from TTSA. They say, okay, here's some UFOs, but my opinion, those aren't UFOs. Even though they're saying they are, and the Navy acknowledges it, but there's no proof those are UFOs. None.
This is what the post-truth world is, isn't it?
The truth. Yeah.
No. It's a post-truth world. We can't. Nothing's true anymore.
Right.
Like we're all so like damaged and cynical about everything.
Yes.
That nothing is objective reality anymore. There's no. All we do is we pick people's personalities we like and believe them, not because what they're saying is true, because we like the person.
That's hysterical. Yes. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just excited.
No. It's where we are.
I know.
And even I know I do it myself. I really like Joe Rogan. He's probably not a great place to get knowledge from, if we're perfectly honest. But it's all we're left to hang on to is like that hope that one person might be at least genuine.
Perfect example. Oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, perfect example. Go on.
It's your show, mate.
No. Listen, this is.
I was sorry. I'm going to do it now. I was listening to your podcast this afternoon.
Me?
GUFON, your podcast.
What?
Oh, sorry, your YouTube show. I call it a podcast because it's so long.
It's a podcast. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I listened to you talk about the UFC this weekend, which I'm quite looking forward to. Yeah, tonight. And I really do think that if you feel like doing an Irish accent again, you should probably back off from it. You should probably leave the Irish accent in Ireland.
Yeah, I know. It's awful. I know.
I've not heard his Irish accent.
Oh, it's awful.
I haven't. I heard something.
I can't do an Irish accent. I always sound like I'm from Jamaica.
I can't do any accents. I can barely do my own.
I'm just good at getting tones. I'm not. I'm working on the European accents.
It's really awkward. My stand-up would be so much better if I could do accents.
Totally.
I can't do accents, but I can make monkey squelch.
Oh, that looks weird on camera. Oh my god, that's hysterical looking.
It looks like the bottom end of a child.
Yes, that's so weird. It's bizarre.
Right.
I want to
Sorry,
buy.
where were we? Like, not believing people. I can't remember what brought me onto my fucking rant, which derailed it.
To bring it back onto the Travis Walton, we always do this, but it's all fun. It's people understand if they've made it this far through, they know what we're about.
If you've made it an hour and a half into this, you've already had your money's worth. So it's you're just in now.
I get paid for this.
I'll tell you what intrigues me about.
I do. Ollie gives me about 600 quid for coming on this.
It's because I did a bad accent.
That's it.
This is the guy who interests me in the Travis Walton case. Philip Glass.
Oh, that guy's an a-hole.
Don't speak ill of the dead.
He is the worst a-hole.
That guy was an a-hole.
Me and Osvaldo spoke about him, and Osvaldo Franco was like, "Yeah, I hope people are dancing on his grave."
All right, sharpen me up here because I haven't got a fucking clue who he is.
So he's the guy that kind of got sent. Well, Rich is more of a ufologist.
Go ahead.
Rich,
No, you say it.
no, but he's the guy that kind of got sent in, didn't he, to debunk it all.
Yeah.
But Rich, I'm not a ufologist, and I don't know if you call yourself a ufologist, but you're definitely more of a ufologist than I am. But Philip, he went in. He offered the youngest one £10,000. I mean, back in the day, how much would £10,000 be?
Yeah, this is the sorry, Rogan. They talked about this on Rogan, didn't they? He was asked to blow the story open, wasn't he? He was the one which was the youngest. He was upset, and
Yep.
they lent on him because they thought he would break.
And Philip Class, and I think he was quite. He would have had a bit of money, a decent paid job, but who were giving him the 10 grand to give to? Because it wasn't Philip.
He either wouldn't have given the money, or he would have given the money out of the money he made from breaking the story open.
Interesting. This guy, he did.
He looks untrustworthy.
He did so much to many UFO cases. Many.
What other ones? Was there anything else I'd know?
I'm not a ufologist, but I know it was all. It's back in. There's an interview that I did with Osvaldo Franco, who is in the chat, people, and there he is. And Oz told me about this guy. I'd never really heard of the guy. I knew that there was a guy that tried to pay off one of the people, but this is the guy, Philip Class, and he was a class. You know what? He was one of these people that got sent into all these different cases to debunk them. But with this one, he couldn't do it, and in the end, he was offering the youngest of the party. I don't know which one he will have been out of these guys. We could probably guess it by looking at the pictures. Probably this guy here. Oh, you can't see my cursor, but probably that guy that's second from the top is probably the youngest one, I reckon, or him at the bottom. I don't know.
$10,000 back then would have been such a huge amount of money, wouldn't it?
Like $100 grand.
I was just going to say it would have been more closer to like 100 grand now.
Philip Class was sent in to debunk everything, and he was also, I think, wasn't he in science or something? Like, didn't he have a degree or something like that in electronics or something?
Someone gave me 100 grand. I'd lie about my own mother for him.
What was that?
James.
I said if someone offered me 100 grand, I'd lie about my own mother if he asked me to.
Yeah, right.
No, James is the youngest. Was that the second guy from the top, Oz?
He was also a member of the American Association for Advancement of Science, as I recall.
Who? Philip Glass. I thought you were on about the youngest member of the party then. I was like, oh, that's new. Yeah, what is it with this guy? Do you think who's paying this guy?
It's government stuff, I think. He got involved.
Some people are just twats.
Yeah.
Like over here right now, because we're on a quite not as bad as some places like the UK, but we're on a lockdown over here. And there's a guy, bearing in mind I live on an island of 80,000 people. And we shouldn't be like on Facebook groups and stuff.
You still think it's Christmas on your island, don't you?
Yeah, we do. But don't worry, this is going to make sense. It is going to loop around. We're not supposed to be doing like independent buy and sell site of groups on Facebook, and people have been doing it because people haven't been able to go to work for like 3 weeks. So we're on a very short lockdown. Our government has been very backward at coming forward as far as any financial support for people. Lots of people are in the position where if they haven't worked for a week, that means the following week they've got no fucking money for food or rent because it's people live week to week. And there's people out there, and you can see the value of things that are being sold. It's where you get like baby clothes and shoes. It's now laptops and cars and televisions that people are trying to sell. And there's been a particular prick which has been going around tagging government agencies, like government Facebook groups, in these posts for people. And some people just want to be assholes. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe he just wants to be an asshole and spoil the party. Maybe that's it. Maybe because he doesn't believe it, he desperately wants to make it not true to shatter the illusions of other people.
Well, I think Travis was quite nice about it in the interview with Joe Rogan, because he kind of didn't really mention much about it, probably because he didn't want to speak ill of the dead, because he has stuffed it. But yeah, he did a lot of damage. And thank you, B. Baker. Yeah, the NSA he worked for.
That's a problem with you, some of you Americans. You're so respectful. I wouldn't have done that. It's all the sirs and ma'ams. That's what's done it.
Yeah, I mean, 10 grand again, going back to that back in the day, that's 10 grand to kind of destroy this case. That in itself, to me, gives the case more
credence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It really happened, man. You're just gonna have to accept it, guys. Not you
no,
guys.
But it's just like having your academic record scrubbed. It just gives it more credence.
Yeah.
The issue that I have though right now is that these interviews are going down, they're going out, and this is similar to what you have, Rich. I mean, I know you speak about the young guns. I don't know if the young guns like me or not, because I used to do a lot of videos where I I was very much all for TTSA, and I'm not saying I'm either for or against at the moment.
They love you. Look who reached out to you.
But the issue that I have with all of this is that it is influenced very much by, and this is nothing against the younger community that kind of they do. I mean, my wife even does it, and she's at least 18, I think. But do you know what I mean? And if you're watching this and you are a youngster and you share this video out, do your thing, share these. This is GUFON Radio, Must See Audio. Share the links.
Smack that like button.
Do you know what I'm getting? You probably don't know what I'm getting at, but I'll tell you what I'm getting at. That this whole thing right now with disclosure, wherever it is, this soft disclosure, or with people, which side we should go to? Should we go towards TTSA? Should we go towards Stephen Greer and whatever his thing's called, serious disclosure? It's all influenced now by the younger generation, because they're the guys that get it out. They are the guys, and they're the ones that we are influencing as adults. I sound like an old man.
To me, it feels like the mission is not really for us. The mission's to make it so slow that our children, by the time they're in their teens and 20s, go, well, of course there's aliens, Dad. We've been stupid. What do you think the lights are?
No, but this is what I'm saying.
We've always known that. We've always known, in the same way to go well, we've always been at war with Oceania.
But this is the problem, though, with it, Lee, that the keyboard warriors right now, with this whole thing that's going on, I don't even know what it is. I'm not going to call it disclosure, because Rich will probably just look away, because it's not a disclosure, but
It's not disclosure, though, is it?
I don't
Disclosure, you cannot have a little disclosure. Either you have a lot or you don't. You can't, you know what I mean? Because anytime it says, oh, you're just getting a little bit of disclosure, it's so easy to say, well, what did we disclose? Okay, a piece of evidence we've never seen before. I guess that is a little disclosure, right? A little here and there. So maybe I am wrong. Maybe it is drip, drip disclosure.
That probably came out wrong as well, because I'm not saying that it's every youngster that's doing it, but it's the people who are young to this subject.
Yeah.
I was that person.
Think about mobile phones.
Yeah,
Think about mobile phones but before we had mobile phones and I had to remember numbers. I couldn't ring my friends whenever I wanted to. We used to meet in the pub, and whoever was in the pub was who you were in the pub with. You would stay in there until a certain amount of people grew up, and then you would all go out together. If you missed someone, they'd have to come and find you. But slowly, then we got phones, then we could ring each other, then phones got more complicated. You could do things till they became the fucking all-encompassing mini computers we've got in our pockets now. Now it feels, even when you think back to before you had a mobile phone, it feels like that technology was here at all times.
It's funny how that is, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what will happen with this. Like I say, in 10 years' time, my son's going to look at me and go, of course aliens are real, Dad. What do you think the lights are? And then that becomes the truth then. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be what's actually happening. It just needs to be what the zeitgeist is. I hate using zeitgeist. Makes me sound like a twat.
What do you think, if it ever did get disclosed, or if they ever just started to appear in the sky willy-nilly and we just like, there they are again.
Fucking chaos.
No, but what do you think they would look like? Do you think they would look like anything what, like, say, Bob Lazar, the Tic Tac? What do you imagine? It's a strange question, that I know, but what do you? I'm just interested to find out.
I don't know. I mean,
you imagine just to see a bright light, or would you?
When it comes close, I mean, it depends, doesn't it? You'd expect to see some sort of physical object, but even that makes me wonder whether that's actually what we see. I remember listening to somebody that say that their theory was that what we actually see isn't, because it's outside of the spectrum of human sight, and that's why we end up always seeing the fuzzy, stupid lights, is because we can't actually see the whole.
Oh, okay.
I found that quite interesting. I found it interesting and immediately thought it was bollocks.
When you say you can't see the whole, what do you mean?
But you can't see the whole object because what the actual mass of the object is outside of the visual range of human beings. So what we see is what we can see of it. The way that sometimes you see what appear to be like four objects, but they seem to be moving in the same pattern, the same way. So it would actually be one thing, but you can't see the rest of it.
I just can't imagine seeing a load of Tic Tacs.
No.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know. I
kind of hope it's going to be a fucking big triangle with a big fucking red light in the middle of it.
I'm kind of going towards what you're saying, Rich, with the Tic Tac, that it's yours. Hopefully it's yours.
It's a country from this planet that has incredible drone technology. That's what it is.
I think if one of the countries already had that technology, I think all of the other countries would know about it.
We don't. Apparently. Nobody knows. It's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know anything really.
I think if it was, let's like break it down, where if it was Russia, I think there would have already been some sort of war, especially with the US. I think if it was China, they would have already gone for a military conquest over the financial conquest, which is the way they seem to be trying to push things.
Yeah, they will.
If it was the US, I think that when the wheel, maybe we'll know actually, maybe we'll know in the next 4 years, but in previous years when the American war machine was like in full swing, I think it would have done. It would. I wouldn't say more damage. I'd say more successful. It's probably more a nicer way to put it. I think the war machine would have been more successful than it was, even if there was craft like that. You know, I mean, we've all seen the wreckage from the helicopter they used, the stealth helicopter. You know, when they went in and got Bin Laden. Oh, yeah, was it Bin Laden they used for with that? Was it somebody else?
It was Bin Laden.
Yeah. And that was clearly Black Ops, like, equipment they were using. I feel if there was something more exotic that could have been used, it would have been something more exotic that was used.
I just can't. When I think about what these things might have, if it's an alien, I just don't imagine it being any of the things that I've seen in terms of like the discs, the tic tac, the triangles. I imagine something. I imagine something completely in my head. I imagine if something's traveling that sort of distance,
it has to be a foreign entity that has that. That's not a domestic human entity if it exists.
Do you know what depicts it best for me? That film, and I forgot the fucking name of it now, but with the big pebble. It was.
Oh yeah,
Arrival.
Arrival. Yeah, good film.
And it's almost like the alien has no fucking idea about the human. They're trying to communicate through the
ink and walls. Yeah,
human beings are too warlike between each other, and I'm not human bashing. I hate people that do that. I hate people like, I don't
like humans. So, you know.
No. I hate that whole. Aren't we a terrible race? Like, no, we're fine.
I don't mean that. I just don't like people.
Yeah, but we're fine. No, I get that. I can understand it, but like we're fucking fine, and we shouldn't hate our own fucking species. But I don't believe that if that technology was out there, I don't believe it would be so far ahead of what we know about and it not fall into hands that would use it. Unless it's fucking crazy conspiracy time and everyone is in league with each other. Everything's pushing towards a single fucking global plan, which I can kind of get behind. But then in the same way as I don't believe that a foreign country has this technology, I don't believe that some sort of closed cabal has this technology either. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't play a fucking long game about it. They would just sweep in and take over and make slaves of everybody.
Do you imagine Goldfish Bowlhead, man?
No, see, I'm not on board with Goldfish Bowlheads.
That's the thing with the Travis Walton.
It is. That's his. Oh. That there is his Uzi story.
Yeah, it is. The thing is, I mean, it's probably been depicted maybe wrong by the artist, going back to what we was originally speaking about. But I'm wondering if because these guys, he said they didn't have helmets on, but this guy did. Did this guy have a helmet on because maybe, I don't know, maybe he would be more of a risk? If we're going to look at it on the all for we believe Travis, which I kind of do. I do. Yeah, more.
I believe something went on.
Some guys wear hats, some guys don't. That's all it is.
Some guys wear goldfish bows.
I'm wondering, Rich, if he may have had even something that could have put the host at risk.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, sure.
so I don't think he wore this because he couldn't breathe. He probably wore that if he maybe wore that to protect Travis or protect himself. Maybe he wasn't vaccinated. I don't.
Maybe that's his mask. Yeah,
Maybe they're from the future. Maybe he's walking around going, "Trans fish are fish."
it might be. Trans fish are fish, but are they? Can they be fishes?
But yeah, that's the bit that puts me off about any story that I hear about when it comes to old UFO cases. Is I always think they fit the generation or the time that it's in. You know, you see these things, and it's like, yeah, but that looks just like something from the 1980s. That looks like something from the 1970s, 1960s, 1950s, whatever, and so on. And now you've got the Tic Tac, which is, I don't know, it's a bit like I think I've said this before.
Yeah,
It's just like my Apple mouse.
Yeah. I bet you don't have to put the Tic Tac on its side to charge it though.
This is a little twat for battery. That. But yeah, the whole case, I think it's an amazing case, and I do believe that Travis and his team, his team at the time, his boys, you know, something happened. But my opinion with it is I think it's been depicted wrong. I think the people who have kind of drawn it and shown it have made even Travis himself to trying to. I mean, can you imagine trying to explain technology that is way, way, way over your head? The only thing that did ring alarm bells was the chair when he said that it had little knobs on it.
Knobs and buttons, yeah. See
I can't imagine them having buttons and knobs. Something to get broken, isn't it? A little button. You know, you spill your Coke or your beer when you're traveling to Earth on a button and it gets a little bit of liquid damage. What do you do? Oh, we can't get to Earth. Why? I've spilt me alien Coke.
Maybe it was just a volume switch. Maybe it's like for the speakers. Nobody likes electronic like volume switches. It's nice.
Or maybe it was more like Whitley Strieber, or however you pronounce his name. You know, these guys kind of depict themselves how you should see them.
Or we depict them as we depict them, and like it's our brains decoding it in the same ways we decode what's going on around us. You know, it's even if you're stuck somewhere where you're not used to being where you are, your brain is going to try and decode it in the best way it can do it.
But are we all in the agreement that we do believe that Travis is telling?
Yeah, I believe something happened, and I believe in alien abductions as something. And the reason I've used the word alien abductions is because I've got no better word for it. But I also believe in, or what I probably believe stronger in, is the stories of people that have took psychedelics and spoke to other entities and transcended other places using psychedelics. And that's, to me, what alien abduction might be, is like a sudden onset psychedelic experience.
Far out, man.
What do you mean? You mean that all of these 7 people have the same psychedelic trip?
No, I can't explain that. I can't explain why, but I mean the majority of the standard alien abduction thing of people being on their own, and it's someone that might have took too much mushrooms once. Like it definitely jogs my memories. the way things are talked about. I've told you about my thing, haven't I?
Out the back of the window, was it?
No, when I lay down. No, when I lay down in. I've been out with friends. I won't go into the whole story because I've said it too many times on my podcast, and this is going on my
Well,
podcast.
we don't know it.
Oh, right. Well,
Yeah.
I'd never taken mushrooms before.
Oh.
And I went with some good friends, and we couldn't be bothered making tea, so we just ate them. They were just dried out, and we ate them. They'd all done this before. They were all like maybe 5 years older than me. I think I was like 18. I think they were in their 20s, and I'd eaten before I went round, so everyone else came up before I did, and I was fine. I was like, what's going on here? Because these guys seem to be having a great time. I really like mushrooms. I really like earthy tasting food. So I just started eating these things like someone had left a bowl of popcorn there.
Do they taste nice?
I like it because I like that sort of taste of that
Soil.
Tastes a bit like soil. Yeah, I quite like it. So I ended up having the same amount of mushrooms that you would take if you wanted to shake hands with God. And I remember there was like little fleur-de-lis on the wallpaper, and I was there. Everything else in the room was fine, apart from the fleur-de-lis were fucking firing past at like 200 mile an hour in like lines. I thought, right, something's happening now. This is quite strange. So we went for a walk, and then I remember walking up a hill, and there was a ghost there. The little yellow buds on the gorse things were lit up like, you know, when you see car headlights in super slow-mo like motorways.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they were like that. They were
many
like that,
times. Slow motion on the motorway.
yeah. So the little yellow buds on the gorse bushes, as I walked past them, they were making traces that were going behind me, like coming behind the thing. And I remember thinking to myself, because it was like 4 o'clock in the morning at this point, it's fucking pitch dark. And I was clear enough of mind to go, this is really odd, because I understand that color is a reflection of light due to the whatever texture the surface is. So I was thinking, how can they be glowing because it's dark? So anyway, we get down, stuff happens in a field, and then we start walking down a lane. And I can remember in like some sort of like fantasy Sleeping Beauty type moment, where when we were walking down between the lane had like trees, the vines just sort of came up and just surrounded me like they were an archway. I turned around to my friend and said, I'm going to be sick, mate. I'm going to need to sit down. And I remember being dead calm. I threw up and I lay down. And luckily enough, like the friends I was with were still to this day. I don't speak to them, any of them, as much as I should do. But they're those friends where you can not speak to them for 2 years, then all get in a room together, and it's like the years have never happened. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
and they're great people. So they sat with me for 40 minutes, something like that, while I tripped out, lying in a ditch, essentially. But I remember from I can remember all of it. I remember the feeling of, I felt like I was on water, and then there was this bit in the back of my head thinking I could still remember my friends being there, and I was terrified that I pissed myself because I thought that's what the water was. No, and then suddenly I realised no, it was completely dry where I was. I think someone stuck a jacket over me as well to make sure it was warm.
You didn't piss on their jacket, did you?
No, I didn't piss on the jacket. But I essentially realised it was nothing to do with that, and I kind of let that go. And then there was lots of colours and there was lots of space, for want of better words. And then I remember feeling like these black figures were stood around me. I wasn't scared. I felt like they were looking after me, and then I had a strong.
Lisa,
Like-
what are you saying? You're saying that if you want to see aliens, just eat some mushrooms.
I wouldn't recommend that because that would make me fucking legally liable to whatever happened to anybody. But all I'm saying is that these
Don't
figures
eat
that were stood around me looked at me. I felt pity. I felt that they were just like, oh, he's not meant to be here type situation. Like, and then I was awake. I remember waking up. My friends picked me up, and for where we are. If there's any TT fans out there, where it was in the dip coming off the mountain to go up towards Signpost Corner, and I remember as we came into the clearing, everywhere was pink, like there was a pink hue about everywhere, and the sky was just peacock feathers. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget the sky. It was crazy.
I've got
But
some shiitakes in the fridge.
Oh, you're probably about 600 of them though. But yeah, no, but that's I think there's a huge, because don't forget the same thing that makes you trip out when you take this sort of stuff. It's all chemicals that are in your brain. It's all there waiting to happen anyway. Yeah, we already know that when we die, there's a huge amount of this. I forgot the name of the fucking chemical.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forgot the name of it. Rich, what's the name of it?
Oh, it's not an endorphin, dumb.
No.
iDose. I don't know what's it called now.
Oh fuck!
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But we know there's a massive dose of it injected into your body when you're born and when you die. And I believe, without going all crazy woo-woo, because I'm not a hippie, I believe that it's that fluid, which is essentially the lube to let your soul in and allow your soul to get out.
I wonder if maybe the aliens, when they abduct you, they kind of do release or give you some of these kind of.
I think they're already there. I think we go to meet them. I think it's the other way around.
Do you know what I mean?
DMT.
DMT. Is that the chemical?
No, that's the.
Oh, that's the drug that Joe Rogan talks about.
Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe this. I can't remember. It was in. I read. There's a really good book called The Spirit Molecule. I think it's also a documentary that Rogan narrates. But the book.
I would love to read that book if I could read.
Mate, get the audiobook. It's fucking
audiobook?
amazing. Yeah. There's an audiobook. Terrence McKenna wrote it. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I think some of these experiences are. That's why I don't think it's a physical thing. I would be very suspect if a government came out with physical wreckage, because I think physical machinery is a very human thing.
You don't think these things have like nuts and bolts?
No, I think they're. That's why I think that what we see is lights. I think that's what we see is lights, because they look like plasma.
That's one thing that Bob Lazar never described nuts and bolts. He said this thing was molded. It was almost like it was.
But even that's a piece of machinery. It's like a 3D printed thing. It's how I imagine we'll make planes in the future. And this is one of the things that makes me question the whole thing is. Was there a documentary called Ships of Light? I remember.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, and the guy that was taking the pictures of these things, he was taking pictures of these like colorful, like semi-solid objects, and it's those things that I'm so happy that my loop comment seems to have took off. That's what I imagine these things to be. I don't imagine them to be solid like machines. It seems if let's just say they are fucking aliens for a split second, in the way we think they would be, to go from one end of the universe to this end of the universe to cut a cow up. It seems like such a primitive way to do it in a machine.
I get the impression, and it's from how long I've known you for quite a long time, Lee, and I've known you, Rich, for well over, is it nearly coming up to 2 years now, probably?
3.
3. I get the impression that both of you kind of don't believe that these things are from different planets. I get almost the impression that you may think that it's something different.
I think there's a space within a space between the space or the or a parallel dimension, which I suppose would be the same thing.
I like the space within the space within the space.
That'd be a good band name if no one's
That'd
got
be
to
a good name for a book.
Right.
Something weird happened to me the other night. We're like 2 hours into this interview, so any normal subscriber that watches it and that just thinks I'm a normal bloke, that they won't make it this far because they'll get bored.
No. We're into superfan territory here. Thanks for hanging around.
So this odd thing happened to me the other night, and I don't know why I've not actually. I mean, I do a lot of voice memos to you, Rich. Because
let me just say, Ollie, if you stuck your willy between the bed and the mattress, that's not what I mean by the space within the space.
No, it was better than that, but with less friction. I'm asleep, and I've moved recently. Because through lockdown, we moved our 1-year-old into our room because my wife is working her office in his bedroom. So
This is why you needed the space within the space.
We didn't want all the wires and the little boy in there with all the wires and the computer equipment. I didn't want that. So I said, you know what? Let's move our bed to the window. So I moved our bed to the window and I brought his cot. Well, it's a bed now, into our room. So yes, we were sharing with our little sprog. Didn't do the marriage a lot of good, but you know, it did him a lot of good. He was not in an atmosphere with a computer and everything like that in the same room as his. So I had an idea the other day. I said, you know what, Dylan's 5. That's our oldest now, and I said, let's put your desk and make it really neat. We'll do all the wires, what have you. Put it in his room. He's got a big room, and then we'll just put some on the table. So when he's in his room, it doesn't look like your office. Like, I don't know, we'll get a TV in there or whatever at some point. So anyway, we did that, and we've gradually moved the room out. So the reason why I've told you that is a good reason. It's long-winded, I know. I'm not good at telling stories, but I woke up the other night and I'm looking into the corridor of where our bedroom door is open. I know you're supposed to keep them closed. We don't keep them closed because our oldest gets night terrors. He runs into our room every night, just about. He shits himself. So I always keep the door open because I don't want him running into the door or tripping up over anything like that. So our door is open. And I'm looking in the corridor and I get up out of bed, kind of like I just shut myself up a little bit. And there's this figure stood like in the stairway. Now in the stairway, this figure would be, I don't know, about 10 foot tall from where the stairs are, but he's almost like it's floating. But do you know, like when you kind of feel like you're asleep, but you don't know if you're asleep or not, you can't work it. You can't work it out.
Yeah,
that was like I couldn't work it out.
And that's exactly what the accounts of Travis Walton seems to have. Is that feeling?
This is how I debunked it, because, well, I kind of debunked it and didn't, because something really weird happened, and I woke up right after that, and I don't remember what happened in between, but there was a really high pitched sound that happened in this ear, and I woke up, and I think I woke up for real, and my ear was just going woo, and my eyesight when I was looking around was pixelated. And that's the only way I can describe it. It had little bits of green, like squares, every so often in between my eyesight. So there's pixelation everywhere. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? This is a weird dream. But it felt like I wasn't dreaming. But then the next morning when I woke up, I thought, I must have been dreaming. Because I looked out at my hallway, and because we'd moved the bed back, because we'd put my little boy in, we'd put my little boy back into his old bedroom and moved my wife's office into her room. I looked out into the hallway, and I could no longer see the where the stairs were. All I could see was a wall. So I knew it was a dream. But it felt so fucking. That was if that's people talk about lucid dreams. That felt real. I woke up and I was sat in my bed looking around, seeing like RoboCop vision. That scene where RoboCop wakes up and it's like, That's what I saw. Like, and it was like,
I have a friend that, I mean, me personally, like my little mushroomy thing, I dabbled with things. I don't think I was ever like crazy into things. I did certain things a lot, but not
Mercury.
Yeah, maybe it's anything. If you could try it and snort it, I'd have a go. But if I have a friend that is very much much further into these things, and I remember he told me once that he got himself in such a state that he started seeing in like pixelated form, where he said everything looked like it's like some sort of crazy polygonal like animation thing. And
Matrix.
To this day, he believes that he saw a broken down version of the simulation.
What?
That was his take from it. He saw the errors in the code, if you want, I suppose.
Rich, do you ever question it? Because even our boy, Mr. Musk, has mentioned the fact that he thinks that it is possibly.
What are you looking at, Musk?
Simulation.
I believe we might be in a simulation. Not only that, scientists are talking about that it's not only a simulation, we're inside somebody's thoughts.
Well, do you know what irritates me about this? For fucking years I turned around and said that the cerebral cortex looks like galaxies. Well, it looks like a nebula when you do it. I said that to people fucking years ago. I was in the pub, and like everyone used to say Lee's a fucking idiot, and now astrophysicists are saying it instead of a paint and decorator. It's fucking good.
What? So the cerebral?
Yeah, if you look at like neurons firing off, it looks like a nebula.
Oh, that's interesting.
But nature seems to repeat itself, doesn't it? It's because the similar thing to this would be if you look at what a leaf looks like underneath, when you see all the little strands and stuff going off it. It's very similar. But the thing is, if you were gonna make, like what you do with video games, if you were gonna make a artificial representation of something, you would reuse assets in whatever way you could, because you would need a huge amount of processing power to do something like this. And it's in the same ways, like for every other game, no matter how much processing power you have, you would always want a bit more. So you'd always you would always cheat the system to make it better than what you actually had on offer. if you were making a simulation. So you would always reuse something.
So you quite on board with the simulation theory? Nate?
I think it's terrifying. I think that's the most terrifying of the what are we, why are we here scenarios, because it makes us completely inanimate.
Well, it does. Go on. Sorry, what you saying, Rich?
No, go ahead. You said
No,
it.
no.
best.
I was just going to say, wait, it does. That's it.
My
Well-
hair's gone about Hitlery, isn't it?
You
It's
do
all
look.
gone a bit comb over. It's all a bit too neat because of the headphones. Sorry, carry on. The wine's working.
What are you saying, Rich?
There, if you want to know what you are, there's a lady named Dorothy Izat where there's a documentary on Amazon Prime. I think it's something The Light. I can't remember the name of it, but if you look up her name, she took pictures of video, 35 millimeter film back in the 70s and 80s, and she recorded a light outside and it would flash. And in 1/18th of a second on either sides of the frame, you know how there's 30 frames a second? Well, one frame had the light. The next frame had all these crazy lights going anywhere, not
I think I've
bleeding
seen this.
into the other frames. And then the next frame was just the light again. And they were doing this documentary now just a few years ago. And she's 81 or 82 now. And they were interviewing her daughter. And behind her daughter, through an open window with no glass, were the lights. Nobody noticed it until they analyzed the footage, until they watched their own documentary back. They saw the lights come back. And there were UFOs and orbs that were passing in front of the woman who was really nervous. And then when the orbs passed by, you could see her face just get calm, and she started talking normal to the cameraman. And it's just such a great thing because Dorothy Izat can't be debunked. And it's one of the few cases in ufology that might actually capture light beings that we may be. Dorothy Izat gets the feeling, she doesn't say she talks to them, it's just feeling that they are light beings, and we're all light beings living in this universe, whether it be in a matrix or whatever it is, we go back to their form. And you can see these little figures and everything. It's amazing documentary. But look up Dorothy Izat, Izaat.
I think we're definitely getting to a situation where what is it? What's the Sherlock Holmes quote? When you
Oh God.
eliminate the impossible, whatever's left, no matter how improbable, has to be the truth.
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I think we're getting into a situation where science is starting to, as far as like what we use, and things we have and stuff like what's making us do this. Science is great, brilliant for it, but it's becoming more and more inept at working out what we are and why we are. It's like the fact, right, that if you look at all the things that we could be studying, yeah, the fact that the entire world hasn't been behind trying to work out what happens to us when we die is the craziest thing in the fucking history of humanity. How has that never been a global interest to work out what happens to our species when we die?
It was. There's been Dianetics and books that have been read about it over the last 50 years. More than that.
No. Are we? Dianetics. Are we talking about Mr. Hubbard here?
I'm just talking about people putting books out about.
No. But I mean, like a global scientific effort. There's no the. I mean, you will always get an Elron around you.
There's fringe things out there. I was joking.
No. There's fringe things out there, but for all the scientific studies, how come there isn't a global effort to try and work out what happens to us?
Because you got to get funding for it and all that stuff, and not everybody's.
How is that not the easiest thing to get funding for? Everybody wants to know it. It's the question. It's the thing that death is the thing we all think about every moment of the day without thinking about it.
The scientists who've tried to figure it out can't figure it out. They've tried sleep hypnosis. They've tried electroshock therapy. They've tried drug inducing. They've tried the ayahuasca, psilocybin, and everything else. I mean, they're trying. It's not that nobody is. Just how, unless you kill somebody on purpose and then bring them back and see what they saw, if you can bring it back, just like the movie.
Flatline of them. Yeah, Flatline is a great film. Remake was awful.
Remakes.
I never watched it. I refused.
Yeah,
I turned it off. Total Recall. I watched Total Recall remake. That's a different film.
I know, but I loved it.
It wasn't a bad sci-fi film.
I love that driving scene, man. Amazing.
But I think there's more because obviously, like, both of you have got like more UFO and alien focused channels. I'm fucking Poundland Joe Rogan podcast, so I tend to just do what I want to on my podcast, and if people want to listen, they'll listen to it. But the idea of this sort of universal answer to all of the conspiracy theories, I think, is probably the most credible way to look at it. Like we hear about folklore stories of elves and fairies and UFOs. It's just UFOs are our modern folklore. In another 100 years, it'll probably be something else.
While we're on the subject of God and what have you, because I haven't told Rich, but about your theory on ET, but I kind of want to do a little spin-off video off the back of this interview. So, guys, the film. Why did I not even bring up an ET figure?
See, I could be wrong. I wish I'd watched it again now. Do you know what? I'll fucking, because I'm a bit drunk, I will drag my what I sent to you the other day, because I am right in a way.
You blew my mind with this, and Rich, this is priceless, because we're kind of coming to the end of the show, but I wanted Lee to tell this to you live, because I was like, whoa.
What is it?
Lee, have you found this out yourself? Has somebody else come up with this?
No. I worked out the other day. Like my son loves ET, and I've always been.
Don't spoil it. Don't blow it. Don't blow your pants.
I think it's the worst of the alien films. ET.
I cried at this. I can remember watching it. My mum and dad took me to the cinema. That was the first film I saw at the cinema.
Yeah, but I've told you what I thought, didn't I? You know the bit where he's all going wrong and he's on the bathroom floor.
Yeah. Explain it to Rich.
He looks like a fucking pepperoni. He looks like dried sausage.
Don't mean that.
I think Steven Spielberg has retold the story of Christ with an alien, because he was. I find it's more interesting because of Steven Spielberg and how he is about things. It makes me think that maybe he believes in like the Prometheus sort of thing. Because I think I said to you, I sent the message saying, I worked out today that ET is the retelling of the story of Christ. He is my working out. He left Earth, was left by his elders, parents, putting Elliot and his sister in the position of Mary and Joseph.
And other brother.
Yeah. Their friends, also disciples, that slowly got involved. The mother was the one that got the...
Mary.
That no, the mother of the children. She was she was the Judas character because she turned her back on
Right.
ET
Okay.
when NASA people came in. He died on the table. That was his crucifixion. Then he was stuck inside the fridge, which would have been in the cave where they put the block over.
Oh.
Later, that he was brought back to life, and I'll stick this in the screen. It's not going to do the podcast any good, but it's the scene where you don't see him again from when Elliot closes the fridge until he emerges from the back of the van.
Wearing a big dressing gown.
And he emerges from the back of the van looking very, very Jesus-y with the white robe over him. Yeah,
totally.
Then he ascends again, and even the mother, which turned her back on them at the first place, is watching E.T. ascend back up to the heavens. I just found it odd.
I was blown away by that.
I think I've blown you away. That's good. It means I'm onto something.
That's amazing.
I honestly think Steven Spielberg stole that story from the book of.
Do you know how many stories that depict? Same thing with the Karate Kid.
Yeah. It's the hero's journey, isn't it?
Yeah. Rocky, down, I don't know what to do. Then he comes back, I did it, and he's got the white towel around him.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was only I was watching it for me the 500th time. It was when the doors flung over and E.T. appears through the mist. I thought, oh, fucking hell. And, I was like,
and all the smoke and everything around him.
Yeah.
Nice effect. Oh, it's beautiful. Like he's already ascended.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we depict Jesus in a white dressing gown though?
Because
it's a white robe. I'm sorry, Lee. Go. You tell him.
It's because it's comfortable. I was going to say you were going to say something much more interesting than I was going to.
Well, that was the shroud of Turin that was put on top of him in the box. It was the shroud, and he still had it around him.
Yeah. Let's face it, if you die and come back to life, you're going to be cold, aren't you? So you're going to take any material you can and cover your bits with it.
You're only an embryo. Only an embryo.
Boys, this was just like a discussion tonight. And, I kind of want to know when are you going to get GUFON on your show? When's that going to happen?
Oh, whatever you want, mate. How are you doing?
What are you doing September 18th?
September. Whatever you want. What do you want to do in February?
We'll figure it out.
I'm looking at my calendar. I've got my podcast. I decided this year that I was going to be so much more on top of guests and stuff. I'm booked up to the 19th of February.
September 18th, Saturday. Be there.
I'll be there, but I want you on before that.
8 months. I'm booked all the way till then, bro.
Are you really? Wow.
I have Sundays off, and I'm ascending every Sunday.
Do you do a show every day?
I do. Now it'll be every single day, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I got GUFON every Monday through Saturday, which is going to change. And now I'm doing a third phase UFO report on Sunday, Wednesdays.
Oh, cool. I've watched third phase of the moon was one of the first UFO things I watched on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
First things on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, or when I started realizing, things I could remember. Third phase of the moon. Yeah, it was one of the first things that I came across. That and Secure Team 10, obviously, because that was always a staple for people.
How dare you?
Hey! Didn't say I believed it. But
I wonder what Tyler's transition would be right now, because third phase are going through a transition of changing their channel. I wonder what he would have done if the channel would have still been about.
He'd still be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Same song, same everything, because it worked. But I think what happened was he wasn't getting the attention anymore, the links back to his YouTube channel from all those tabloids, and he went from 1,000 subs a day down to like 100.
I'll take 100 subs a day.
Holy crap! Are you kidding? Yeah, hell yeah.
I think he missed the
I'll
boat.
take 10 a day at the minute.
Yes, that's 300 a month. That's a lot in this
I
day
thi-
and age.
I think he missed the boat. It's a pure. I know nothing about YouTube. I fucking have a YouTube channel. It sorts itself out. The
You
only
don't
time
do anything on your YouTube channel other than like every so often just put one of your podcasts.
See, I'll put like I used to.
Then YouTube takes it down.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard to get.
Every
to-
time
to-
I've clicked on one of your videos, YouTube's already took it down. I click on it, I get a message saying this has been taken down for inappropriate.
See, you can't say what you want, so you can't rely on YouTube. But I want to look into other things like Gab and stuff like that. But it's all video editings work as well, especially when you're doing interviews with people.
Wait, where's your show at then?
Every podcast place,
Huh?
all of the podcast places.
Spotify, Google.
Yeah.
So if I was to go on your show, where do you stream it from?
I don't stream it. I record it.
And then where does it go out to? You just upload it everywhere?
Wherever if you've got a podcast app and you put in Musty Audio, it'll turn up.
Wow.
But there's no reason why we can't. If you want to come on, we couldn't do the same thing. Where if I could come on GUFON and then we could have a chat, and then I could put the audio up. This is really a conversation that we could have outside of a show.
It's a win-win situation.
What's it called?
Musty Audio.
Somebody was asking.
Oh,
I know
thank
what
you.
it is. It's funny. It's right there, right underneath your chin.
I
right
know, yeah. Because let's face it, that's a really weird middle name and surname.
It's me, Must See Audio. How do you do, Mr. Audio?
But I forgot we were from there. We were talking about something proper, weren't we? Before we
No,
got
I'm
sidetracked?
just trying to end the stream now.
All right.
It's ended then. Good night, everybody. I'm a little punchy.
No, we have been going for an hour and 30 minutes. And I just think there's so much.
2 hours and 30 minutes.
We could keep talking and we could keep talking, but one of us will eventually just be like, you know what, I'm hungry or whatever. And
I have to go too. So,
and it's
What time is it in GUFON land?
it's 4:30 right now. 4:32.
What have you got planned for your evening?
I gotta
You
do
go-
my show in a few hours.
Oh,
Yeah,
at least you're in the right place.
10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, right here on the tubes.
So before we go, guys, GUFON, where can we find you?
I just told you. He didn't realize he said it. You didn't realize by chance. That's funny. Yeah, GUFON, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. It's going to be just every day. Just go there. And also Third Phase UFO Report. I'll be doing Sundays and maybe Wednesdays live with 2 uploads a week over there too. 2 premieres.
It is in the description, guys, so you can check it out. And Lee, where can we find you, my friend?
You can listen to all my stuff at Musty Audio. Musty Audio is on YouTube. You can search for me if you want to watch my stand-up. I think I've got a couple of stand-up videos on Lee Stevens on YouTube.
Oh, you're Lee Stevens?
Oh yeah, it's don't take your clothes off again. But look for Musty Audio. You'll find Musty Audio everywhere that you can get a podcast.
Well, how's the stand-up coming on at the moment with the whole lockdown?
I've wrote a really good bit that might be quite dangerous about about Elliot/Ellen Page.
No,
Okay.
no.
We'll leave it at that.
I'm pretty excited about being allowed to go out of my house and do stand up in front of people and try and work that out in front of people. It'd be good fun.
Yeah, for anybody who's not seen Lee's stand up, you do get some of the audience that just kind of go,
Yeah, but the ones that laugh, oh, it's so much better because you get if you get like 4 people go, you get 6 people that just explode.
That understand
And
inappropriate comedy.
Stand-up's the best. Stand-up's stupid. It's fucking ridiculous that I'm even trying to do it.
Right, guys, I'm going to end the stream, but I'm going to come back to both of you. And thank you so much.
See you later, guys. Thanks for being in the chat as well. The chat's been amazing.
Thank you, everybody in the chat. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching tonight. I could go on and on forever, but to be honest with you, I'd probably pickle my liver if I did, because I kind of have a little beverage when I'm doing these interviews. So about 2 hours my limit. Otherwise, I'll just like pickle myself. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And check out the GUFON radio in the description and Lee's Must See audio in the description. And hopefully soon GUFON will go on Must See audio and vice versa. And this is the new mascot, by the way. And he's very stretchy. He's not got much upstairs. I tell you something though, he's got a lot downstairs. Good night, God bless. Mind the bugs don't bite. I'm Alien Addict.